Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Columbus United FC Soccer Talk. It's late night edition, and I am excited to talk Columbus United FC soccer. So far, 3 games into the USL2 season, I'm pleased to welcome to Columbus United FC Soccer Talk the coach, Coach Brett Teach. How you doing, Coach? Coach, can you hear me?
Yep, I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well. All right, the team has got a week off, and then you get ready for 4 games in 2 weeks. But I do want to talk about the Dothan United game. It wasn't the results you wanted. It lost 1-0. But I thought that the team played very well, especially being a man down, getting that red card in the first half. What was your takeaway on that game against Dothan United, and what were some of the things you learned about your team playing a man down?
Yeah, I thought the game itself, I really felt like for the vast majority of the game that we were at least even down a man. I thought for the most part better. We had better chances than Dothan did. Although Dothan's a good team, don't get me wrong, but it just felt very good about the way we were able to create moments that we could have scored, both in the first and second half. I thought it was an unfortunate red card. Especially just before halftime, it kind of had to change. We had to change how we were playing, and I think we were just starting to really come into the game a bit and starting to get opportunities and starting to control the run and play a little better. And I thought for vast majority of the second half, we were very good, even though we had changed how we played slightly. One of the things I didn't want to do was sit in and let them just have the game. I wanted to continue to bring the attack to them, and we did. We had 2 or 3 very good chances to score in the second half. And, right now we have to be better in front of goal. That's really our major issue. We've done a great job of creating scoring chances. We're just not quite ready to score in the games when it matters right now. And we found goals in the first 2 games, but you can't always go down on goal and then hope to find a goal. And I think Saturday night was a great environment, a lot of energy by both teams. Dothan, like I said, is a very good team, and I was really proud of our guys. And then when we went to man down, we were still able to stay on the front foot, still create goal-scoring chances, and unfortunately weren't able to capitalize. And then a little bit ran out of gas late, kind of had an unfortunate goal, that they scored. Kind of one of those, you felt like we're on the wrong end of a 50-50 call with a corner versus a goal kick. But, those are all just, quite frankly, excuses. At the end of it, no matter what the call, you have to deal with it. And we went through yesterday, or actually it was yesterday morning. We kind of walked through the controllables, because that's really what it's about. It's like learning how to control the controllables, because everybody's going to make mistakes. You're going to make mistakes with the ball. Referees are going to make mistakes. I'm going to make some mistakes coaching. Those are uncontrollables. You can only control your own reactions. And so we were able to dissect the scoring opportunities that we had, the goal they scored, and really look at it and look at, okay, what could we have done that was within our control to change the outcome? And I think the guys have done a great job of being process-driven, continuing to hang in for what we do. Because really, we didn't really change our tactics much at all when we went down a man. We simply played one less player in midfield. Our mindset was the same. We just, instead of rotating, we usually play with 4 in midfield. We rotated 1 out and played with 3. But our defensive rotations were the exact same. We really didn't concede any great chances. It was really a matter of whether we were going to score or not. And then, of course, Dothan is very good on set pieces. They got a corner, and it's almost the exact same goal that they had scored against Montgomery the week before. A ball played long, and a very good player for them, got a header back across, and one of their guys simply beat our guy to the ball. And that was one of those things that, we rehearsed, but we weren't as prepared as we might have been. We had seen it, we had talked about it, we'd gone over it, but 3 games in a week, you don't have a lot of training time. So we had 3 games in that 1 week period, which was a challenging, I think in a 7-day period. Yeah. So 3 games in that 7 weeks, or 7 days, which didn't allow us a lot of time to train. I think another couple of days of training would have helped prepare us a little better for that moment.
Coach, I thought the defense played solid, even though you lost the match. I thought that the Fischel, Villatoro, and Gettridge in that back line was outstanding. There was some opportunities in that middle defense. Villatoro had some slide tackles that broke up a scoring opportunity by Dothan. Gettridge, very good passing the ball up the field. I thought that the team hung with Dothan playing a man down. Do you feel at full strength that you should have been able to at least get the draw or the win over Dothan United? Because I know it's got to be just very discouraging playing a man down when you have that red card. You're kind of just holding on for the tie. It's very difficult. I've seen it before where teams have scored a goal shorthanded, but just talk about like how you're changing up the strategy playing a man down and what impressed you about your defense.
Yeah, I think it was really more of a I don't think the mentality was ever to sit back. Our mentality, I told them at halftime, because we made a little change right after Ray received a red card. I made a little change for the rest of the half, and I moved us into a 4-4-1, which, at halftime, after we talked amongst ourselves and staff, just didn't make a lot of sense because we've not really trained that way. So we decided to just go the same exact shape, but instead of having 4 guys in the middle, have 3, and then have them, still have the same players kind of in the same roles, just one less player. And then we used our center forward to kind of come back. We actually outshot Dothan in the second half, I think 5-3, which is, I think usually indicative of kind of where the game is going. We certainly were, I would take it a step further from hung in there with them. I thought we outplayed them. I thought we actually did quite well. I was just disappointed in the end for the guys that we conceded a goal late and didn't have enough time to get it back. But again, good teams, when they have opportunities, they take them. And we created plenty. We had 3 or 4 chances during the match, which in a tightly contested contest, you don't get to miss. And that's where we've just got to get more efficient in front of goal. In fact, it's the theme of one of tomorrow's training session, actually, is, getting a little better. And we had the same issues last year a little bit. I think, one of the things changing our field is a little bit of a challenge too, because, we train on turf and then you play on grass. It's a little bit different field. And it's also very narrow. And every field we played on this season, well, we played there twice and once at home, or twice at home and once on the road. But the rest of the fields in our league are much bigger. So it is also, it's right now, because we're not as used to it, the teams, when they come to play us, it's going to be a little bit of a challenge for them because the field is much narrower than what, other teams are used to. Like, for instance, Legion's field 75 yards wide. Apotheos is our next opponent. They play in a 75-yard wide field. And it's 10 to 12 yards narrower than larger than ours. And we train on a field that's 80 yards wide, basically. Even though we bring the dimensions in to train, it's still a different feel. And I think we're still adjusting a little bit to it. Because we don't train at Memorial. We only play our games there. So we've only actually been on the field twice. So that's a little bit of a challenge because grass plays a little differently in turf. And then the width plays a big part in our tactics as well, things that we need to be able to adjust and training to game day. And again, I think that you're really starting to see the adjustment in moments during the game. And in terms of like Villatoro and Nick and then Lily in our third center back, because we have 3 center backs. Quite frankly, they all 3 were very good. The goal wasn't really any of the responsibilities. It was an unlucky call on a corner that was a goal kick. It was a mistake. It was just one of those things that happens in the game. And we should have defended a set piece better, and we didn't. But it was a long, deep corner. So even the goal, I wouldn't fault the center backs for. It was just one of those things where we weren't as alert on our set pieces we need to be. So very pleased with the guys effort-wise. I thought that we were unfortunate not to win. I mean, honestly, we could easily be 3-0 and we could be 0-3. So I think that, it takes a little while to really get as good as you can in front of goal. And that's where the real challenge we made it, because it does come down to 2 18-yard boxes. How will you defend your goal and how will you attack their goal? And all the rest of it is just the choices the coaches make, how they want to get there. For instance, Dothan's a very direct playing team. They want to get the ball, as far down the field, as fast as possible, under control. We're a little bit more, we want to play a little bit more up in building and move the ball and have a little more numbers, although we don't ignore playing vertically. And you'll see that. You'll see certain teams that play different ways. But that's all really window dressing, because the real fact of the matter is, how are you in the first 18 and the last 18? And that's where we have to continue to grow. But I'm very confident in our group. Every day I see improvement. I think the group, this is a similar way to we started the year last year. I think we had the exact same record we did at this point last year. We were 0-1-2 last year. Um, the difference is we played a couple home games now, where last year was all road games. But I actually, I like the group a lot. I have great confidence that we're going to grow each day, and I certainly think anybody who was at the game the other night, we had a great crowd. They're very supportive. I think they really helped us when we went down a man, because they were vocal and very encouraging for the guys. I know after the game we had a long autograph session with the fans, and that's just different. I mean, that's what makes our crowd the best, quite frankly, is they care, they're into it, and it was great. Dothan brought a decent amount of people, but in the end, we could only hear our own, which was fabulous.
Yeah, and you'll have a chance to face Dothan United again on June the 28th, this time at Dothan. This rivalry is going to be something special, especially with these two cities separated by 2 hours. I do want to talk about the upcoming home schedule, because you got 4 home games in 2 weeks, starting with Apothos FC on June the 4th, and then you got Birmingham Legion on June the 7th. You played them already. And then you got East Atlanta FC on June 11th, and then followed by Asheville City SC on June the 14th. I know you got a week off, so you're preparing your guys to have 4 soccer matches in 2 weeks. What's going to be the mindset in preparing for these soccer matches, having to play all at once? I mean, I know, is the team prepared for this, or what are the rotations going to look like? Are you going to give some players that have not had an opportunity to play? Are you going to keep it the same?
Well, we've changed every game a little bit. I mean, we've not played the same lineup twice yet.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Because we've had people come in and out. We've had, like, Reda got his first start. Of course, he got red card, so now he's not available next match. We have other players who've been in and out of the lineup. We've started several different looks because we do have a good squad. We have guys who haven't even made a roster yet, look very good in training today, and they'll have this week to kind of make a step. I feel like we have 26, 28, 30 guys that could all contribute. I think we have 30 field players, and I think every one of them are good enough to help us. They just have to be ready to play. And so often it comes down to, how well do you get the details? How well can we count on you in those set piece moments and controllable moments, really, is what I go down to. So I think you're going to see rotation for a while, just because of the nature of the schedule. I think you can't expect guys to play 90 minutes, 4 times in a week, 2 weeks. You know what I mean? That's difficult. We just did 3 in a week, and we had a few guys that went 90, but even they were tight at the end. And we added a couple guys. We had a couple guys join us later on. 2 guys that came in kind of after the first game, and they're both, starting quality players. So they're guys that they both made the roster last game. One's a defender. You could see him step in and play a little bit, at least help relieve those guys in the back line. And then one's a kind of a left wing back attacking type guy, and he's another guy that he played a very little bit at the end of last game. And I think those are guys that can help us. We have some younger emerging players who are either freshmen or younger in their college careers, who are starting to really make that next step in terms of, are they going to be ready to grow into the game a little bit. So I'm excited to see kind of what happens.
Coach, I do want to talk about several of your players. I want to start with the goalkeeper, Brino Zanola, who has been fantastic. He comes from Brazil, obviously. They know soccer in Brazil, all those World Cups they won. I mean, you talk about a competitor, the incredible saves he had against Dothan, and then the 2 matches before, only given up a goal so far per game. What are some of the things that Brino Zanola has been working on as a technique for a goalkeeper, and really how clutch has he been just keeping you in games throughout the season?
Well, it's funny. Like he doesn't make a lot of saves. Like we've had the ball in the majority of our games. So like Game one, he didn't make a single save, but I would have said he was instrumental to the game. Game two, I think he had 2 saves. Game three, I think he only had 2 saves again. So the other team aren't getting a lot of opportunities. But what Brano gives you is a guy who's so experienced, he's so calm, he's able to deal with those critical moments really easily. Like he's very commanding in the back. He handles his box well. He's a good shot stopper. We're blessed that, quite frankly, we have 4 very good keepers. Um, his right now, a guy who's been functioning as our number 2 keeper was an All-American this past year in Division III. He just hasn't. He came a little bit late, so he hasn't had an opportunity to play yet, but he will. So we're really blessed in the goalkeeper department to begin with because we have 4 guys, and so just those types of things who've gone really well for us. But what Brano's been specifically good at is, number one, he is very much a leader in training and every aspect of the game, and so that's where he's good. Again, like I say, he's an excellent shot stopper. He's good in the air. He does scare me once in a game with his feet. Every game he tries to do something silly with his feet that drives me crazy a little bit. So we talk about that. We laugh about it all the time. But no, he's a very good goalkeeper. We're blessed to have him, and great guy, even a better guy than he is a goalkeeper. So, he's great for the team, great for morale. He's uplifting. He's always helping the guys. He's an older guy. He's more toward the upper age of this U23. And that's what I wanted when we signed him. I was really impressed with his video, and he's been better than I expected even.
Several other players I want to feature that I've not mentioned yet on this show, but they have seen a lot of minutes, a lot of touches, is Dennis Hayes and Nikita Hayes. I think that they have just been fascinating playing that midfield position. Talk about how special these 2 players are and what are some of the things that they do to contribute to the team.
Well, I have a long history with Dennis and Nikita. They both played club soccer for me in Richmond, Virginia. So I had them as juniors and seniors in high school. I signed them at VCU, and then that's right when I left to go to Mount St. Mary's. I've always been really impressed with their energy, their work rate, their love of the game. Their growth as people has been enormous. They have a really interesting backstory. They were both adopted by a family in Richmond. They're from Latvia, and they were actually in an orphanage. And this family had a special connection with this Latvian orphanage, and they came over, and the family shared with me one time when they came over to visit that one summer, they broke everything in their house, but they fell in love with these 2 little skinny kids who were just soccer nuts. And so they went through the legal process of adopting them, and so they moved to Richmond, Virginia. And so I have gotten to know Dennis and Nikita very well over the years. We tried to get them down here last year. It just didn't work out. They wanted to stay at home because it was their last kind of year at home or whatever. But, Dennis is more of an attacker. He's on my club team, we were in the ECNL, and he was one of the best players in the entire country. I think he had 25 goals for us one season. He played a good bit for VCU in the fall as a true freshman, and then then in the spring he actually started most of their spring games and did very well. And then Nikita was actually the stronger of the 2 players when I first started working with him. He's a guy that has just boundless energy. He's really good up and down the line. He's kind of half defender, half midfielder because of the way we play him. And when we kind of looked at playing this way, he was one of the first guys that came in my mind because he's a guy that can really add something to your attack, but he's also a very tough defender. Doesn't like to get beat, takes a lot of pride in it. And quite frankly, I also know them as people, and I think the world of them as humans. And I've been just blown away by them as kids since I've known them. And so it's just great to get the opportunity to work with them again. And so like I said, our relationship's 4 or 5 years old. I think they see me as a surrogate dad, probably. I know they were heartbroken when I left VCU. We talked a lot about their commitment and why VCU was still a great place for them and all that kind of stuff. So, no, Dennis and Nikita have been outstanding, and I expect we'll see them get better and better. And they're also very young. They're both freshmen. They both just finished their freshman year in college, and Nikita still has 4 years of eligibility. Dennis has 3.
And then finally, one more player I do want to feature, Nick Harshaw. He almost had a goal against Dothan United. He had a one-on-one with the keeper. I've been really impressed with Harshaw, who could play midfield and could be a striker for you.
Mm-hmm.
Just talk about the versatility of Harshaw being able to play multiple positions.
Yeah, Nicky is he was recommended to me by uh, one of my former partners. He was an assistant coach with me at VCU, a guy named Matt Kennedy. And Matt called me and said, "Look, I got a guy for you. I saw your team play a lot last year. Nick would fit in." And so we watched his video and talked to Nick and really liked him. He burns for the game. Again, he's a young guy. He's a freshman. And so he had a really good freshman season at Bellarmine University. And so we decided to add him, and he and I kind of hit it off during the process of getting him here. And again, kind of in the same vein a little bit as the Hayes twins. He's just a workaholic. He loves the game, competes every day at the top level. He's been very active. We got to help him in that last 20 yards. He and Dennis need to be a little more efficient because they get good chances every game. And they earn the chances. They don't fall to them. They earn them with their effort, their energy, their commitment, their understanding. And so now I want to see them reward themselves by making a little better decisions when they get near goal. But Nick is a guy that I think could be a big part of our growth this season. But again, I think one of the things you'll see with pretty much all the guys when they play is the energy they play with, the commitment. I got a really good group of guys in terms of their commitment to each other and their commitment to getting better. And Nick, Dennis, and Nikita live that, but so does everybody else you mentioned. You didn't even say anything about Carter Berg. Carter's one of our best players. Carter's that same kind of player.
He's been outstanding.
Andy Melendez has been probably our best overall player so far. And our two, guys, Valentin and Evans in midfield. So but then the thing that why I'm so excited about our group is I see more than that every single day in training. And people looked at me like I was crazy last summer when I was this optimistic in midseason. I'm like, look, we're going to be good. We're just not there yet. It's a growing process. Again, having to play so many games so quickly. Kind of the same thing happened to us last year, where, like, for instance, Asheville City has played one game right now. Yeah. And so they had a full 2.5 weeks to prepare for their first game. And obviously worked because they won 9-0. But the real key is, do we take advantage of the little break that we have now? Because everybody in the league is going to have this break at some point because of Athens United dropping out. Because we're all going to have, like, we were supposed to play Athens on Saturday upcoming, and they're not here. We didn't have a midweek this game, but we did have a weekend game. That's why we got the 10 days off instead of 7. And so Asheville just happened to get their bye week early on. So everybody's going to have a week, and how you respond to that week is really going to shape a good part of your season. Because like you said, now we have four games in that 7-day period, that 2-week period. But what's even more critical is they're all home points. And so we need to be able to amass as many points as we can before we finish up basically playing all our games on the road.
All right, Coach. And finally, exactly a week from now, you're taking on Apothos FC at AJ McClung. This is a team that they were a finalist in the NPSL. They were one of the top teams in the NPSL. They've been around for a couple of years. Out of Atlanta, they actually play where the Atlanta Silverbacks used to play. Yep. Just a very, very good team when it comes to, like, soccer in Atlanta. We know the talent up there in Atlanta is good, especially with the growth of Atlanta United up there. But just talk about what you know about Apothos FC and what are you looking forward to with this Wednesday night matchup. I know it's Ted Lasso night. I know the fans are going to be excited about packing AJ McClung on a Wednesday night, but what are you looking forward to with this matchup with Apothos FC?
Well, what I like about Apothos is they are a very good soccer playing team. They move the ball well. They value the ball. I know their coach very well, Johnny Mercado. He's a great guy. Was a very good player. He's a younger coach, but everybody's younger to me, so that doesn't really matter. But he is a guy that really is intense about the game. He wants the game to be played a certain way, and that's with the ball and be commanding with the ball. And I watched him play Legion right before he played Legion, and I thought they were very unfortunate not to get the result against Legion. Um, so I think they're going to be a very tough out because again they've got 2 losses, and that's tough. This league is so challenging, just like our league last year, where you've got to not you can't get too far buried and behind. That's why even though we only got a point in our first 2 games, those are points toward the bank account, and so I think Apotheos has some very good players up front. They've got a midfielder I think is outstanding, controls the game. Their back line is solid. That's a good group. Again, I expect it to be a very difficult task. I think both teams are going to want to play. I think it's going to be just a really fun, entertaining game.
Yeah, one thing that's unique about Apotheos FC is that they were the national finalist in 2023, and they qualified for the U.S. Open Cup in 2024. First year in the USL, and I can't wait for Apotheos to come to AJ McClung. Coach, always a pleasure having you on Columbus United FC Soccer Talk. Looking forward to our chat next week, and looking forward to being on the call for Georgia Alabama Sports Live, and I'm really excited about this next matchup against Apotheos FC.
Yeah, it'll be a great match, great opportunity. Please come out. Believe it or not, hearing you guys' voices in the stands makes all the difference for our guys. I know they talked about the loyal fan base, the signs and everything, and it's what makes this experience so great for us as a team and the players. It's one of the reasons I couldn't wait to come back. Was basically feel like I'm coming home to Columbus. So I'm excited to be here, excited to get back in front of the home crowd, and hopefully we'll put on a good show for everybody.
All right. Thanks, Coach. That's Columbus United FC head soccer coach, Brett Teach. Thank you for watching another episode of Columbus United FC Talk. Hope everybody has a great rest of your night.